Hello Reds, bit of an Anfield Wrap special this one. We are on our way to Manchester. We're going to go to Manchester and find out what they think about the madness that has been football lately. So what do they think about their owners? What do they think about the direction of football? Are they happy as football fans? We've been having those debates as Liverpool fans, talking about FSG, talking about governance, talking about the direction of the game. We're going to go up there and see what they think. Jay, we're here before the Leicester game and there's fences gone up, there's stewards everywhere, there's police, there's vans, there's all kinds of extra security. It's fair to say it's a mad time to be a Manchester United fan right now.
It is a mad time to be a Manchester United fan, you know. I mean, these protests against the Glazers are nothing new. We've been protesting for the last 16 years, since 2005. You know, you saw the Phoenix Club, the FC United Manchester club that was founded because of the Glazers. In 2010, you saw the Green and Gold protest. So there have been protests, but, you know, something has kicked off a bit more now with the European Super League. But you can expect more protests, though, because, you know, it is a mad time, but these owners need to realise this is our club, and we're not having it. We're just not having the way that they've mistreated us, and we're going to take a stand against it.
What is it you want from football? What's the ideal world for how Manchester United is run and owned?
Ideal world would be fan-owned. You know, the fans own this club. I mean, there was a sort of talk that happening with sort of the Red Knights thing. I know there's a lot of sort of United businessmen getting together that were going to try and buy it. There was Shareholders United. Ideally, you'd want a club where the fans just own it. You know, we've got enough fans at United who would like to own the club, and there was a time, when you could own it. You could own a bit of this club. You could own back in the 90s, the champions of Europe. You could own a bit of them and tell you know, I own a bit of that. I own a small bit, obviously, but you could do that, and I'd like to see that come back. I'd like to see these owners sell the club back to the fans and just move on, because they're only in it for the money. They don't care about the fans, they don't care about the club, and it's not even sustainable the way they run this club. So they need to move on, and ideally, I'd like to see the fans take over.
Okay, here we are, Manchester City Football Club, the Etihad Stadium. The club are in the Champions League final. They're about to wrap up another Premier League title. They've won the League Cup already. So you presume then that Manchester City supporters are very, very happy with their ownership, happy with the club, happy with the situation. But are they? The European Super League proposal seems to have set a light under supporters across the country, and we've all ended up now talking about ownership models, about the way our clubs are run, about fans on the board, about 50+1, all these various things. And it's put City back into focus in that respect, I think. Certainly in our bubble, in the Liverpool bubble that we're in, everyone's saying, well, why don't you ask City fans about how they feel about their owners, how they keep it straight in their mind that on the one hand, yeah, you're doing what you're doing, you're in this ground, you're in the Champions League final, and on the other hand, you've got owners from Abu Dhabi with questionable human rights records.
I'm not going to say it's not a concern. There are kind of factions within the fan base. There are people who will go into bat for the club no matter what happens, and there'll be people who go into bat for the owners because of what they've done at the club. You can't help that. Ultimately, you know, the vast majority, well, not the vast majority of fans, all fans, when they sign up to supporting their football club, they're usually about this big. They're usually, you know, brainwashed by their father or their mother in the first instance. I know I was. And you don't get into it for what happens off the pitch. You get into it for the 90 minutes of football. And so I know that there are City fans out there who aren't comfortable with the ownership and the ownership model, but are able to just enjoy what happens on the pitch, because they're safe in the knowledge that they were here long before the owners turned up, and they will be here if the owners decide to sell up and move on, or whatever happens, they will always be here.
There's a question as well, isn't there, about sort of what can you do, or even as a collective, what can everyone do who flies through the turnstiles here? Because, you know, I've seen stuff you've wrote, Dave, and you've openly said, I'm a gay man, I'm a gay Manchester City supporter, I wouldn't holiday in Abu Dhabi for obvious reasons, but equally as you've already said, this is your club.
Yeah.
You
And
know what I mean?
that's where it becomes difficult, because ultimately the answer that football fans want to hear is walk away.
Yeah.
And
do what?
That's it. It's very, very difficult to do that. And
Hard United?
Well, that's it. I mean, Oldham Athletic. Oh no, they're not exactly having the great ownership thing at the moment, are they? So it is hard, and like I kind of balance it with myself as the only money this club gets from me now is my season ticket money, and that's it. And whether that's being hypocritical, I'll leave for other people to decide. It's kind of where I'm comfortable with it, and yeah, I don't think the discussion should go away, but I think it needs to be aimed at the people who can do something about it. It's not City's fault it's not City fans' fault that the Premier League allows owners like Sheikh Mansour in. If City are going to benefit from that, then fine. You can be critical of City fans for enjoying that and for accepting that, but I don't think you should expect them to just drop everything and walk away.
Okay, back at Old Trafford and away from all the talk of sheikhs, of Glazers, of ownership, of government reform around football, there is a big match taking place on Thursday, Manchester United versus Liverpool.
I'll be honest with you, it's the first fixture I look for. The Scousers are like, when we've got the Scousers, you know, even over City, I know people going about the United City rivalry, but it's not like as sort of, like you say, as edgy, like that edge to it, that sort of almost nastiness at times between United and Liverpool. But and also the fact that, you know, all the success we've had, and it goes back, and it goes a bit more than just football, doesn't it, with our two clubs. So yeah, it is the one you always look for, and obviously, after what happened last week, it just feels really strange. It's been a strange season. The fact that you've not got fans there adds to that, and the fact that there are protests planned. The game didn't go ahead last time. We'll have to see what happens this time. It is going to be a weird one. Yeah, with everything that's going on at the minute, it just doesn't feel like. It almost feels like the game is secondary with all the stuff that's going on off the pitch. You know, the recent sort of madness we've had over the last few weeks, regardless of the pandemic and everything, but with the European Super League, the protests, the anti-Glazer stuff that we're seeing. Yeah, it's just, this is the most sort of unexcited about a United-Liverpool game I've been for a long time when it comes to the actual game itself. I'm excited about what's going on off the pitch in terms of what we're doing, but in terms of the game, yeah, it's almost become a footnote.